Good morning and welcome to Coffee Club. My name is Abby Smith. I'm running for Mayor of the City of Kokomo, and this is a weekly video series where I answer a personal and a policy question, and we have coffee. So quick nod to my mug here. This is Chip from Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so the personal question this week is about voting and voter registration and why do I vote, that kind of a thing. I have walked a lot of miles at this city while running for mayor, and occasionally I will come across a person who asks me, why I should vote, or they kind of think that their vote doesn't count, that kind of thing. So it's been really interesting, kind of reassuring me that my vote does count as I run for mayor. I think sometimes we get really far away from politics and people who govern our country or state or even city. But what I can tell you firsthand, 100% with complete certainty, is that on a local level, especially municipal, your vote absolutely does count. Not that many people vote, unfortunately. So every single vote counts, including yours. And I think that the cool thing about city government is that you get really close to the action. So you have access to people who are making policies or making decisions that affect your life. I have a lot of people who will say, I know this isn't a big deal, but, and then they'll talk about, drainage on their street. So if things don't drain properly, the water backs up or it comes back up through their basements, and that's a really big deal. Of course it's a big deal, and of course we would want to figure out how to help and preserve your property value, not cost you extra money. That's the job. So it's been a cool process, and so I would encourage you to vote. Tomorrow is your last chance to register to vote in this election cycle, so I encourage you to get out there and do that if you haven't already registered. Monday the 7th is the last day, so this is Sunday, right? These come out on Monday, so you have, I guess, today, if you're watching this, tomorrow morning to register. And then early vote starts on Tuesday, October 8th. So that is, speaking of personal voting stories, I love Election Day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. And I've always loved it. My parents used to take me with them to go vote, and so it's just been a special day. But what I'm learning is that it doesn't have to be on that day for it to be a special day to go vote. So I would encourage you vote early, and that's why we have the voting centers the way that we do, and why they're in different places, and why there's early voting, to give you more access to have your voice heard in your local government. So voting starts October 8th. Go vote. Vote early. I think I might actually vote early this cycle. I don't know. I haven't done it before. I really like voting on Election Day, but I think that some of my friends almost have me convinced to go vote early, just so I can spend more time making sure I'm knocking on doors and getting everyone else out to vote. So you might hear Timber barking in the background. So the policy question this week is about public safety. I've addressed this a couple of different times, and I thought maybe it was time to come back to it, especially kind of a comprehensive view. So since I first talked about public safety, I have put out a 39-page platform, and one of the major sections, of course, is public safety. It's one of the main jobs of a mayor, and so I have devoted 4 different points to that, and then some action items underneath. So I thought I would just take us through public safety. It's a lot bigger conversation than just how many officers or how many firefighters we have, though that is an important part of it. It's not the whole conversation. So I would expect from my leaders, and I'm ready to deliver for you, a bigger picture than just one issue. So we have to take all of it in and kind of create a vision for what does public safety look like in the city of Kokomo. So the first is more officers and firefighters. I do think we need more specifically. So with police officers, I think we need around 100. Right now we're right around 80, and that is a significant increase. I realize that. That is currently within the budget, so I'm not expending in excess of what's already budgeted and has been budgeted for the last few years. So it's just a matter of devoting the priority of filling those positions. That will be very difficult. We have half of our police officers and firefighters eligible to retire in the next couple of years. And so pushing through those not pushing them out, but trying to push through and get the new officers hired while some officers are retiring is going to be a struggle in and of itself, let alone getting to a net gain. So we'll have to work really hard. That includes leadership training and just a benefits package and just an appealing reason to come to Kokomo. So that's high level recruitment. We really have to work at it and make sure that people know Kokomo is a great place to live. It's a great place to work, and that when we come together, we can reimagine what public safety looks like for a community, and that we want innovative people to be a part of that. So I don't have a specific number for firefighters. I haven't been able to have a really good conversation with them and understand their needs as much as I would like to, but I do know we need an increase, much the same reasons with the police officers. We have a retirement bubble about to burst, and so we really need to focus in and get people onboarded. So in addition to numbers, we need training, leadership training, technical training, bias training, mental health training, trauma-informed training. We want to make sure that we invest in our officers and firefighters and give them the latest tools and techniques to do their job. And I also want to make sure we do a full technology audit just to make sure that we have the tools that they need. I don't know if we can buy everything that they want. I'm going to guess that we can't buy everything that they want, but I do think we need just to fully understand where we are in terms of the latest technology and also safety for first responders. So the second piece is mental health care and access to mental health care for our first responders. It's a very difficult job, and they spend a lot of their time in response to calls, and they're very dangerous situations, which fills your body with adrenaline so that you can make sure that you're at your best and helping people and making sure that you're safe yourself. But there's a cost to that. And so we want to make sure that we remove the stigma of mental health care or mental health treatment and just integrate it into a regular part of kind of a post-incident protocol. So if you go out on a particularly difficult call, this is just part of what you do. We can use the chaplain services already available. There's just a reality to the brain being another organ in your body, and so if you hurt your shoulder, you would address that issue. And the same is true of your brain. We can only handle so much. We want to make sure that we are healthy, we have healthy brains, and not only for ourselves, with the people we serve, but also families that we go home to. So there's that. Got my notes. So I also, public safety, especially in terms of drugs, we want to work on early intervention and prevention programming. So want to make sure we connect our first responders with community groups and schools who are already working on this issue. We're not here to do that by ourselves, but I think we've been missing a voice of police officers and firefighters in the bigger conversation specific to drugs, and then also just general prevention of crime. We've got a lot of great community resources, and connecting the people that we see in first response, right? If you go to the home of an elderly woman who has fallen and she doesn't end up hurting herself or needing medical care, but she probably does need some kind of resource that you're not sure she's getting. As a first responder, I want to make sure that you have the tools you need to connect her with what she needs, so that that's not a loop that's left unclosed. And then the other is neighborhood groups. So this is different than crime watches. I think that if we start with the negative in mind, it's difficult to overcome that. But if we think about what do we want from our neighborhoods, we want them connected and caring, and we want to know our neighbors and kind of watch out for each other. And then also think about how schools are really good community hubs. I think about Taylor Elementary. They do a great job of being a community center for the neighborhood. So how do we support schools, their mentoring programs? Mentoring is proven over and over and over again that it works, especially for kids. I still have mentors that I call for advice. It's just a really good tool to learn from people who've been through things before you. So making sure that we have a comprehensive view of what does public safety mean, that we talk to people, we provide them the support that they need. We also put our first responders into conversations about drugs, whether it's opioids or something else, or just how do we put them in a conversation to connect to services where people need things. So thanks for listening. This is a big weekend, so I am heading out to Canvas again. We had First Friday on Friday evening, and then a little bit later we had a masquerade social. Thank you so much to Leslie and everyone at the Hobson. You guys did a wonderful job. Thank you to Chad, who coordinated that event. It was really, that place is beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to stop in and see it, please do. It's gorgeous. And then Saturday, we had a really big canvassing day again. So thanks to everybody who came from the state party and then local volunteers. We had a lot of new volunteers yesterday, and we've got some again today. And then I also went to the Policeman's Ball last evening. So it was the first time I've been to that. The auxiliary, FOP auxiliary does an awesome job. It was very cool, and you guys had great silent auction items. I hope you made a bunch of money and can have a successful Cops for Kids season this year. So thank you guys very much. Remember, tomorrow, right? Monday is your last day to register to vote, and then early voting starts October 8th.